One of the biggest problems with making an adaptation is what works in one medium might not necessarily work in the other when copied verbatim. Sure, many dorks like us would love to see our favorite books translated word for word from page to screen, but that likely won't end up making a good movie. Take, for example, The Lord of the Rings. If Peter Jackson had perfectly duplicated Tolkien's work, we would have gotten a 40-hour slogfest bogged down by scenes of Legolas rambling with Aragorn while searching for sticks to make new arrows out of. Even still, Jackson did his best to replicate the full ending to the story, and because of that, Return of the King has been frequently mocked for ending multiple times. Now imagine if they'd actually kept the Scouring of the Shire in that story. Yes, the absolute geekiest of us out there might be engrossed by that, but that's not going to put mass numbers of butts in seats, which every movie producer ultimately strives for. While it can frustrate us when Hollywood completely butchers the original source material, as is the case a bit too often, the truth is filmmakers often need to make their own variances and creative liberties in order to make an adaptation fit the structure audiences expect from a motion picture. And if there is any classic story that has endured many such creative liberties, it would be Alice in Wonderland. The creation of Charles Dodgson, aka Lewis Carroll, really needs no lengthy description. The story of a young girl who finds herself lost in a strange and magical land filled with crazy characters and absolute insanity. The book has had more than its fair share of translations to both the stage and screen, but because of the story's structure, almost everyone who has adapted it has felt the need to alter it into a format that better suits their own setting. The result is that most of these adaptations end up taking bits and pieces from both of Carroll's Alice stories, Adventures in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass, and meshing them together into something that only vaguely resembles the original work. The most well-known of these adaptations is, of course, the 1951 animated film from Walt Disney, which even the man himself was not that satisfied with the end result, but has since become one of the studio's most beloved works. Yes, I did indeed make my own review of that movie with the Filminator many years back, and you're welcome to hunt it down someplace, but just be forewarned, I was in kind of a mood when I did that thing. But among all of that did come one attempt to make a version as close to Lewis Carroll's original writing as we have ever seen. A 1985 made-for-TV movie that aired on CBS in December of that year. The movie was produced by sci-fi legend Irwin Allen and featured one of the biggest all-star casts you may ever see in your lifetime. Really, It's a Mad, 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 Mad World may be the only other film where I found more name-brand actors appearing. It did draw decent ratings when it first aired, even beating out Monday Night Football head-to-head in the first half hour of the latter's telecast. Trust me, this was back when Monday Night Football was still big time. But looking back, does it work as both an adaptation and a movie of its own merits? Let's finally delve into the 1985 Alice in Wonderland movie and find out. The movie opens with Alice helping her mother get ready for tea time while complaining that she doesn't get to be with the adults in it.
I wish I could have tea with everyone. I really wish I could.
Tea is for grown-ups, dear.
Yeah, they do start with one liberty they took in order to give the movie its overall theme. There is a lot of debate as to what the underlying theme of the original story was, but many believe Lewis Carroll was creating a metaphor for the insanity and lunacy of growing up. And that is what this movie decides to run with. As we next get Alice asking all these questions to her older sister about growing up on a set that looks just slightly more expensive than what would be used in the Adventures of Wonderland series, before we finally get red buttons in a white rabbit suit.
Oh dear, I shall be too late.
And naturally, Alice has to follow him all the way to the rabbit hole. Okay, what? That's not a rabbit hole, that's a cave! And with lightning going off inside, you're really gonna follow him into there, girl? This whole opening scene of Alice chasing the rabbit through this, well, cave, is where we can really see Irwin Allen's influence on the story. He may not have actually directed it, but scenes like this do still hearken to Allen's history of darker sci-fi thriller pieces like Lost in Space, The Time Tunnel, The Poseidon Adventure, and The Towering Inferno. And yeah, let's just say this won't be the only incident. Also, this bit where Alice has to open a chain of smaller and smaller doors, guess this movie did take some things out of Walt Disney's version as well. And yes, because someone will point this out in the comments if I don't mention it, this Alice was played by Natalie Gregory, who did go on to voice the character of Jenny in Disney's Oliver and Company. Outside of that, though, she really didn't go on to have that much of a film career. By now, the movie starts to follow the story we all pretty much know. Alice finds herself in a room with so many doors she can't open, save for the one tiny door leading out to a beautiful garden, and this is what drives her to drink from the mysterious bottle and lose several pounds as a result. But now she can't reach the key to the door, so she has to eat the little cakes that cause her to put on several pounds, which anyone on Weight Watchers could have told you is what would happen. She cries the pool of tears until she goes back down to mini compact size because of the rabbit's fan. See, this is why you have to use the slow dry cycle. And eventually she falls into the pool of tears and swims away to run into Shelley Winters as the dodo bird and all of her critter friends, where the mouse proceeds to explain why he hates cats and dogs. In song!
I hate dogs and I hate cats. I'm also not too fond of bats. I'm a helpless little fellow, consequently rather yellow.
Did I mention the mouse is played by Sherman Helmsley? But yeah, this whole musical number is basically put in place of the caucus race, and it just ends with all the creatures rolling on the floor like they're all on Flocka or something.
Now I know what it means to act like animals.
Or Night Ravers at MagFest, it's pretty much the same. So next up we have Alice at the White Rabbit's house, where she clearly hasn't learned anything about eating and drinking strange mixtures, and now she becomes a kaiju trapped in the house, much to the dismay of the rabbit and his workers Pat and Bill. And yeah, Pat the Pig is played by Scott Baio. No further comment.
Bill's gotta go down the chimney, does he? I think I can take care of that.
What is that, Bill? Down the chimney, Bill. Hurry up! Hurry up!
That's for Bill.
There goes Bill.
Huh! This time it was Alice who sent someone to the moon! By the way, that "there goes Bill" comment, that was also lifted from the animated movie and not the book. No matter what, no one can escape Disney's influence. So after getting herself back down to compact size, Alice escapes the house and moves on to meet the Caterpillar, played by Sammy Davis Jr. Let's go!
Let me help you.
You are old, Father William.
The young man said, and your hair has become very white.
And yet you incessantly stand on your head. Do you think at your age it is right?
In my
my youth, Father William replied to his son, I feared it might injure the brain. But now that I'm perfectly sure I have none, why, I do it again and again.
Now, they actually cut out the part where Alice takes pieces of the caterpillar's mushroom, which, yes, will affect other upcoming parts of the movie as well. I guess they only had room in the budget for 6 size-changing effects, and they still have one important one upcoming, so this part got the short end, pun intended. So next up, Alice meets the Duchess and her cook, played by Martha Ray and Imogene Coca.
There's something to say for frowning. Why must we always smile? Forget all your dreams, resort to schemes, and in just a little while, the best laid plans of mice and men will all come crashing down again, and we'll all despise each other in the grandest style.
Before her one-on-one meeting with my favorite character, the Cheshire Cat, who here is played by Telly Savalas.
There's no way home from this strange land. Don't even try to understand. You're lost in time without a trace. Resign yourself to your disgrace.
I'm really surprised he didn't recommend that Alice go check out the local boys club. Next up, of course, is where Alice meets the Mad Hatter, the March Hare, and the Dormouse. And this is one area where I really have to concede to Walt's work. Don't get me wrong, Anthony Newley, Roddy McDowall, and Artie Johnson aren't terrible in the roles, but they just aren't as hilariously crazy as the Disney creations were. Perhaps one of the biggest examples where the animation medium really works best for this type of story.
Would you like some wine?
I don't think I should drink wine. I'm too young.
Good. There isn't any anyway.
Then it wasn't very nice of you to offer it.
And it wasn't very nice of you to sit down without being invited.
I didn't know it was your table.
Speaking of which, here's where we have to get to another variation on the tale, with how Alice finally gets to the garden. As many people know, in the Disney version, Alice got lost in the Tulgey Wood until the Cheshire Cat returned to show her the shortcut to the Queen's garden. In the book, she found a door in a tree that took her back to the hallway of doors from the beginning, and this time unlocked the little door first, and then used the mushroom to become small enough to enter. Here, she finds the door in the tree, and it just sends her directly to the garden. The other thing is this. As Alice finally meets the King and Queen of Hearts, played by Robert Morley and Jane Meadows, there's still a half hour of the movie to go. That's because after the whole chaos with the croquet game, the movie includes what many adaptations leave out. The part where Alice meets the Mock Turtle and the Griffin. And yeah, there's kind of a reason a lot of the other creators skip over it. Again, don't get me wrong. It can be very entertaining to see the great Sid Caesar as the Griffin, but even as a fan of the original book, I don't really see what good putting this scene in between the two scenes with the Queen of Hearts does. It does break the rhythm and cause the whole story to drag. So we finally get to the trial, and this scene does play out much like the book. The knave is on trial for stealing the Queen's tarts, despite no evidence that he did, but no evidence that he didn't, or any evidence that anyone else did, which proves his guilt as far as the Queen is concerned, and why she just says off with his head all the time.
And just take his head off outside.
So the Queen of Hearts could very well be the chief of the NYPD.
You're growing, young lady.
But I didn't eat a piece of mushroom or drink anything.
There's no doubt about it. You're growing up.
Should I be doing a whole film brain symbolism yell, or has that gag gotten passé?
Hold your tongue.
I will not hold my tongue. Hold yours.
Off with her head! Off with her head!
That ultimately leads to one area of the movie where the production value really hasn't aged well.
I'm not afraid of you. You're nothing but a pack of cards. Ouch! Stop it! Stop it! Wicked little thing!
Man, after this, I'm never going to complain about stormtroopers missing their targets ever again. But ultimately, Alice runs away from all of the cards before she finally wakes up in her own backyard and, deciding the whole thing was a dream, runs back home to live happily ever after. So, how does the 1985 Alice in Wonderland film hold up? Well, to be perfectly honest...
Dad, I'm home! I'm home! What are you doing on that side of the mirror? Mother, Father, I'm here! Look! I'm here! I'm here! On the other side of the mirror! Mother! Mother! Help me! I'm here! Jabberwocky. 'Twas Brillig and the slithy toes, the gyre and gimble and the wabe. All mimsy were the Borgoves, and the mome rouse out grape. Beware the Jabberwock, my son, the jaws that bite, the claws that catch. Beware the Jubjub bird, and shun the filmiest Bandersnatch. Thunder doesn't frighten me, and I'm not the least bit afraid.
Is it gone? So, yeah. This is the part I kinda forgot to tell you when introducing this movie. It was actually 2 movies. Irwin Allen decided to adapt both of Lewis Carroll's famous Alice works, Adventures in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass, as pretty much a 2-part double feature that aired on back-to-back nights in December of 1985. Personally, I thought those movies aired on back-to-back weeks, but whatever. The problem with this is that, well, the 2 books were never actually connected. The only thing they actually have in common is the title character. So in order to link the 2, this whole addition to the story is created. Alice goes straight from waking up out of Wonderland to ending up being trapped behind the looking glass, rather than stepping into the looking glass like in the original book. And she reads the famous poem Jabberwocky, which in the second book was little more than a throwaway gag poem, and it leads to the summoning of this. I'll talk more about it later on. And yes, the Jabberwock has a significant role in this second part, as we are directly told by this completely new character, the Old Owl, who tells Alice that the monster is the creation of her own fears that she needs to overcome.
And you will see that all the creatures in Looking Glass Land care.
Why should they?
Because when the fear in you creates the Jabberwocky, it is dangerous for all of us around here.
Now, one definite good thing about this second movie is that it introduces a lot of people to the full story of Carroll's second book, which fewer people may have been aware of. As I've said earlier, many have taken elements from Looking Glass and injected them into their Wonderland adaptations, but that's usually limited to Tweedledee and Tweedledum, their story about the walrus and the carpenter, and sometimes Humpty Dumpty. This movie completely fleshes out the second story for the most part. And for what it's worth, it's a story where the main character has a more defined goal. While Alice in Wonderland had her just wandering around from one location to the next with not much of an idea where she was going, here she has an objective. The world of the Looking Glass is like a virtual chess game, and Alice is trying to go from the first square to the 8th so she can become a queen, as directed by the Red Queen, who just might be the absolute kookiest person in both movies.
We haven't gotten anywhere.
If you wanted to get anywhere, you'd have to run twice as fast as you did.
Now what are you doing?
I'm taking measurements. At the end of 3 yards, I shall have some more rules for you. And at the end of 5 yards, I shall go.
So this means the next scene is where Alice boards the train to get to the 3rd square, where she shares a room with a goat played by Patrick Duffy, a horse played by Pat Morita, and a guy dressed in white paper played by Steve Allen. I can't verify if this guy was related to Irwin Allen, but for what it's worth, this was the founder and original host of The Tonight Show, so he definitely was a TV legend in his own right. He even composed pretty much all of the songs in these movies as well. Oh, and the conductor is played by Merv Griffin. Yeah, if you didn't know by now, these movies are basically celebrity guest star bingo. So after talking with a giant gnat at the 4th square, we finally get the characters everyone remembers from this book, Tweedledee and Tweedledum.
Welcome to you. Shake hands. It's really quite important to be proper. And don't you dare to be dumb or you may come a cropper.
Like I've said, this piece has been interwoven with many other adaptations of Alice in Wonderland, so you pretty much know what you're getting here. But for what it's worth, it's another scene where I really think the animated version plays out much better with these types of characters.
The walrus and the carpenter were walking close at hand. They wept like anything to see such quantities of sand.
If this were only cleared away, my friend, it would be grand. If 7 maids with 7 mops swept it for half a year, do you suppose in that much time that they could get it clear?
After that, we get the only person who might be nuttier than the Red Queen. The White Queen, naturally! And of course she's played by Carol Channing, who I think was flat out born in Cloud Cuckoo Land.
Jane tomorrow, Jane yesterday, but never ever Jane today. I said Jane tomorrow, Jane yesterday, but never ever Jane today. You can wish as you want, you can want as you wish. Still you better hear me say, Jane tomorrow, Jane yesterday, but never ever Jane today.
Then we get Humpty Dumpty, played by Jonathan Winters. And he might be the biggest jerk-ass of the movies, and that's saying something. He gets Alice all flustered and questioning her own mind, which gets her fearful again, and you know what that means.
My fish are bringing back the Jabberwocky!
Jabberwocky?
Full confession, when I first watched this movie as a kid, this thing scared the crap out of me. But now, you know, maybe it's the 30 years of age, but in this scene with the lighting and the angles, the Jabberwock actually doesn't look that scary. It actually looks kinda goofy.
Hello, little girl.
Oh, that's much more creepy. No, this is the White King as played by Harvey Korman. And he leads Alice to the fight between the lion and the unicorn, who are played by Ernest Borgnine and Beau Bridges.
What a fight we might have for the crown now, sir.
Oh, and I would surely win.
Oh, I don't think so.
Why, I'll beat you all around the town, you luck-picking.
I'm sold. Give these guys WWE contracts. That unicorn takes bumps far better than Seth Rollins. Next, Alice meets the White Knight, played by Lloyd Bridges, and we get this.
We didn't need a cue, yet with a girl like you, it seems the thing to do. Don't you agree?
Yes, I do.
I'm really trying not to comment on this because I'm sure it was meant to look a lot more innocent than some more jaded people would make it out to be. So finally, Alice makes it to the 8th square and becomes a queen, is congratulated by the red and white queens in their own little kind of nutty way, and she's even given her own castle with a dinner party thrown in her honor. And in this movie, the party even includes characters from the first story like the White Rabbit and the Queen of Hearts. I guess the Queen of Hearts gave Alice a pardon because she got her own crown now. And here's where we come to what may be one of the best examples as to why making some alterations for an adaptation is necessary. The ending to the original Through the Looking Glass is a bit muddled, as best I can put it. Even after rereading it for this video, I'm still not completely sure what happened. There is a party thrown for Alice, but during it all, the guests act like animals and start climbing on the table and eating everything in sight, supposedly at the urging of the Red Queen. So Alice basically goes mad, yanks away the tablecloth to knock everyone away, and then vows to shake the Red Queen into a kitten, and pretty much does shake her until Alice wakes up holding an actual kitten. And the book ends with Alice wondering if she had dreamed the whole thing or the Red King had done so. So what happens here? Well, instead of the guests all wrecking the party,
A present's come for you, dear.
yeah, kinda figured he'd show up in the end, didn't ya? And yeah, like I said before, this final climax scared everything out of me as a kid. But again, looking at it now, it's goofy as all get out. Especially when the White Knight comes in to try and save Alice, and the whole thing looks like a Monty Python sketch with just ominous music added. Anyway, after being told by the owl again that she can never fully grow up if she doesn't face her fears, Alice finally does find the mirror she's been looking for to get back home. But not even stepping back through the glass can ward back the monster until...
Go away! I'm not afraid of you! You're fake like the owl said! You're fake! I've grown up now! I don't believe in you! I don't believe in you! I don't believe in you!
And that's it! Alice is woken up by her mother, who has finally decided maybe she is old enough to have tea with the grown-ups, much to Alice's delight. And then the movie actually ends on...
Can you hear us, Alice? Can you see us, dear girl? Here in Wonderland. Oh, Alice.
Was it a dream or wasn't it? Is this actually the prequel to the Adventures in Wonderland TV series? What the frack, movie? All things considered, this is probably the closest we'll ever get to a complete full adaptation of Lewis Carroll's work, and maybe that's how it should be. Irwin Allen and his team did probably the best job possible into converting the full 2 books into something that can work for the screen, even if I felt there were some scenes they were better off leaving out, others I wish they left in, and others still that I don't think worked as well as some other versions did. Sometimes you take what you can get and appreciate that the creators tried their best. Because, hey, you could always end up with one of the other adaptations!
Oh dear, I'll be so late.
Oh dear indeed.